Good morning, my listener. A good Tuesday when we are looking at money lessons for children. And that's why today we are asking, what are the money lessons you have prepared for them? My name is Wahome Ngari. I'm the founder of the Personal Finance Academy. I'm a financial literacy coach, and I actually help people to ensure that they are the boss of their money. And so we want to discuss the essential financial lessons that the children should learn at different ages in their life. You know, the key to building generational wealth is not about money. It is about knowledge. And here we're talking about financial knowledge. Knowing how to teach children about money is crucial because that way you create a lasting financial success. People ask, why do I have to be bothered? Even if you accumulate sufficient wealth, your children and your grandchildren will actually need the skills to manage, to grow, and sustain that wealth. So it is not just bequeathing them, it's not just leaving it to them. They need the skills to be able to manage it, to grow it, and to sustain it. 90% of wealthy families lose their wealth by the third generation. It is never too early to start teaching financial lessons to children because they need to learn and they need to learn early. But we need to appreciate that some lessons will resonate with young children. And as a rule of the thumb for children, it is monkey see, monkey do. That's a formula of learning. It is not what you say, it is what you do. That's what they learn. Have you thought of the age-appropriate money lessons they should learn from you? And what you do is you just turn into your day-to-day activities and convert them into learning experiences. Even when you go to the supermarket, huge lesson in there when you're fueling at the petrol station. If you end up at the ATM machine, those are perfect openings for discussion about your values and how you use your money. Because that way you create a lasting financial success. People ask, why do I have to be bothered? Even if you accumulate sufficient wealth, your children and your grandchildren, they might be at home, PP1, PP2, and early childhood. This is real space for monkey see, monkey do. And this is where they need to learn a few lessons. If you're wondering what's the curriculum, here is the curriculum. You need to answer the question, what is money? Why do you need money to buy things? You need to introduce money to them as notes and coins and let them see that they have different values. You can actually put money on a table and help them to see that they have different values. You have to help them know that you make money by going to work. You must work to be able to earn some money. And so you also want to them to explain to them the difference between needs and wants. Yeah, in an easier way, needs and wants. And help them to also make some spending decisions so that they can learn something about spending money and having something like a spending plan. So think about the approach. Children often don't see people buying products with physical money, like notes and coins. Not seeing money exchanged for purchases makes it harder for children to wrap around things around their head of how things cost. They might see this invisible money as something abstract, something that is unlimited. You just punch the keys of the phone and there it is, other than real money coming in and out of your family bank account. So talk to your children about money, often to help them be able to understand this invisible money, which is real. You let your children pay for small expenses with their own money. If you give them a small allowance and you go to the supermarket, let them pay for the sweets. This will help them to get to know how far their money can go. And that becomes a very, very important lesson for them. So sit down with the coins and the notes, explain to them the difference, show them. If you want them to learn lessons on savings, use a Kriya jar for savings. Yes, the piggy bank is a good thing. It's a great idea. But doesn't give them the visual part where they can see the growth. Yesterday they had a 50 shilling note. There were some 5 coins. Today you put in more, so there are more notes and there are more coins. And you can talk through this with them and make a big deal about it. Set an example. Yeah, these little eyes are watching you. If at the end of the month you and your spouse are always quarreling and arguing about money, they are noticing. They will see, they will notice. So set a healthy example for them and they will learn much. So you gotta do more than you say. The thing is, make it a game, get them involved. That's how we're going to teach our preschoolers. And they are going to learn, and they're going to learn well. If yours is in lower primary, grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, the curriculum here means they have to know something about savings, allowances, spending plans. Oh yes, here we can teach them comparison shopping, comparing prices, and shopping around before you buy something. And you need to be patient with them when saving, and you can help them see that they can make choices when they have the money. Teach them the value of money through real life situations and examples that will help them to understand where money comes from and how it is earned. Yes, explain to them why you go to work every day and how the money ends up in the bank. The ATM is a good place to start for teaching children about money. You could explain to your children what the ATM is, how it holds money and where that money comes from, how you have to be hard working, and how you have to do savings so that this money goes into your bank account, so that the children do not think it is just money coming from a hole in the wall. You must be careful. They might always think you just put the card in the wall and money comes. They need to know it's taken you time. You have worked, you put the money in the account, and you can now be able to draw it out. And it is the same if you're swiping a card, the same rationale will actually fall in. So that they can understand how the money movement happens. When you're at the supermarket, you've got another big chance here. You can explain to your children how items are priced, that you can actually be able to get same item, different costs. So this will depend on the brand. This will depend on whether there's an offer. And so you have an opportunity here to discuss around how to get the best price. Okay. You have a chance here to discuss comparing so that you can pick the one that fits your bill. And if you want a particular brand, explain to them the branding issues. Yes, we're buying flour, but why are there different brands? Why are they costing different? You can be able to explain to them. They'll be able to see that. And they can see that when the money is not able to buy this brand, it might be enough to buy another brand. Now, you can teach them a lot in terms of paying bills. If you receive your bills on mail or your bills are dropped by, bills come online, this can be an opportunity to explain that electricity or your internet costs money. This will help them to create a connection between time spent at work and money, as well as the fact that electricity and internet that your family uses cost money. It may make them actually think twice before leaving your lights on or leaving appliances on, because now they can have a real connection about it. The other lesson you can teach them is doing a budget. Involve your child in discussions about your family budget. This is another way you can talk to your child about money. This helps them to understand the bigger picture about cost and spending by explaining how much money your family has to spend this week and how this money will be spent. And the kids will understand the cost of family life and how much can be saved for other things. So they can see why are we saving. We're saving because we want to take an outing the next week. We're saving because we want to buy this or these things. So they will understand how the budget works. And one of the best examples is giving them pocket money. Yes, pocket money can help children understand the value of money very easily. Give them money at a given time. Give them the allowance one day, and don't give them rescue in between. Show them how to budget and don't rescue them in between. Let them use it to the very end. If you keep rescuing them, they will never understand how budgeting works. And that's how we're going to teach that group. When you think about upper primary, junior secondary, grade 4 to grade 9, and I know these ones now are people who are intelligent, people who are exposed, they have their peers and they have peer pressure. In fact, they have gotten a taste of good things in life and they have a taste of expensive things. Here, the curriculum gets a bit wider. They have capacity. So we're going to look at the art of budgeting. We're going to let them understand banking services, In fact, they need to understand your credit cards and your debit cards, issues around saving and investment. The influence of advertising, yes, influence of advertising in making financial decisions, how to make money, some consumer awareness, things like shopping lists, financial fraud. Yes, because they're going to have your phone and they're going to go around making things. So we're also going to teach them comparing prices when you're shopping around before we buy something. We started earlier. Here now we can actually be able to do a better job. And we have to be careful when shopping online because financial fraud is a reality. Showing people our personal information online. These are things that they need to understand very well. You need to be patient when it comes to saving and when it comes to making choices. It is not natural to them. They will not look at it positively. How are they going to learn? Show them something called the opportunity cost. That's just another way of saying, if you buy this video game, then you won't have the money to buy that pair of shoes. Now, at this age, your children should be able to weigh decisions. And the other is that each decision has consequences. Why? Because you say to them, this is the money I have for you. So you got to make a decision to what you must buy and what you should not be able to buy. And that is why here You need to give them a chance to earn money. Yes, give them a commission, give an allowance. Not You don't just give them money just because they are breathing. No. Pay them commission based on chores they do around the house. You can get them to take out trash. This will help them to understand that money is earned. Very, very important in life to understand that money is earned. It is not just given. So don't just give them. Now assign them age appropriate roles that they're going to do. The other thing is stress the importance of giving. Yes, their ego is a notch higher. The world revolves around them. So once they start making some little money, be sure to teach them about giving. They can pick a church, charitable cause, or even someone who needs a little help. And eventually they'll see how giving does not only affect the person to whom you give, but it also affects the giver. And this is one big missing dimension in our country, that people are selfish. They don't learn these things. So you got a bigger agenda for them, and I have no doubt slowly over time you can teach them. So as you teach them, we have said it is important, stress the need for giving. We said give them commission, let them earn some allowances, show them opportunity cost. But we have said their curriculum is bigger, the art of budgeting. Remember now, they might be in boarding school, so you gotta give them money once and they have to run to the end of the term or up to when you come back. When you come to paying their school fees, yes, you can get them to go to the bank and deposit the money. You can give them the check and take the check and deposit. Differentiate between debit cards and credit cards. Introduce them to savings and look at the influence of advertising. Not just because it was advertised, it is that good. No, that is not always the true thing. Once you're able to deal with that, now we can deal with the high schoolers, our teenagers, 14 to 18 years. This a fairly egoistic age. They're feeling themselves. They've gone through the motions. They're on the fast lane. They want everything they see. They want things quite fast. They are brand attached, so they want big brands, and they are e-savvy. They have learned there are many things we can do on the net. So their curriculum gets a bit wider. Making a budget is an important one. Having a shopping list. Yes, saving for a rainy day. Is that something that they need to know? Making money decisions. That's why they need comparison shopping. Introduce them to banking services. Now you can let them understand how interest comes from investments. How to make money with your money. How to make money work. How advertising and sales affect financial decisions. Issues around money and money goals. And here you can introduce them to games. Oh yeah, here they can play Monopoly. They can play Kumiliki, which is the Kenyan equivalent of Monopoly. They can do the cash flow quadrant. And what you need to do here is to learn how to raise smart teenagers. I think Robert Kiyosaki has a good book, How to Raise Money Smart Kids. And you can actually look out for that book. Because when children get to an age where they can earn pocket money, or they can work part-time, or interact with their working relatives, they will have money of their own. They have their own desires of what they want to do. And trust me, it will be consumer related. So now they know they can buy coffee, they can buy chocolate, they can buy sweet stuff. Okay? And so let them understand the shopping list. Ask them to compile the family shopping list. Let them go through the house and identify what is out of stock. Because if they're in boarding school, that one they have to do as they go back to school. So why don't you let them learn to do the one for the house? Now, get them to do research for purchases. They can do some research online. They can shop around to get the best price for an item. They need to know how to set goals. Help your children to get to set goals and track their savings. They want to buy this, and so how they save towards that goal. And for older children and teenagers, now you can either set up a money market fund or you can set up a bank account. Help them with how to track their savings and track their spending. Involve them in planning, budgeting, for those outings, even for birthdays for themselves or the younger ones. If you're going to have a small outing, work through all the costs, the transport, the food, the logistics, all the admission fees, and get them to write down all those things so that they understand. Help them to make sure they are safe online. Now, you want to make sure that they understand the risk of shopping online. The scams are there, the things they may buy that are not up to standard, that there are so many people out there who may be advertising things. They look so good, they may not be properly that good. And at this stage, like I said, they're egoistic. Now we have to differentiate needs and wants. Help your kids avoid spontaneous purchases just because they've seen something. So set goals to think about whether you need an item, before we part with money. Discuss the difference between needs and wants. Encourage your children to think about this before spending. Let them understand something about delayed gratification and check their mobile use. Be sure what they are doing. When they get their phone, yes, you must look for ways of checking what sites they are going, their data usage, set boundaries, involve them in selecting the plans, the prepaid plans, the tariff they are going to use. Don't give them a phone on a postpaid basis. Remember, you're paying the bill. Why are you teaching them bad manners? Spending what they don't have, what they can't even afford. And here, this is why you critique ads with them. It's a discussion. Give them the responsibility. By the time your kid is a teenager, they should be able to set up a simple bank account. Okay, they should be able to have one along or money market fund so that they can start learning money management, because that's the next level. And yes, while they're in high school, when they're just in college, help them find a job. Teenagers have a lot of free time, school breaks, long holidays. If your teen needs money, get them something to do. Help them find something to do. Yes, talk to your friend who runs a supermarket. Let them just stack shelves, somewhere where they can spend their time. That's a great way for them to learn work. Or if you have a family business, yes, they can work at the family business like other workers. Now, teach them the danger of credit cards. As soon as they turn 18, they will easily be given a card. The salesman doesn't care a lot. Even when they're in college, they will get a credit card. If they have no idea how this thing works, it is going to become a huge problem for them. So teach them before the person on the street teaches them. And if you go through your teenage, they are forming. They're getting better. Because you know what? Now they are young adults. 19, 20, 21, 23, 24, maybe 25. What are you to make sure now they're getting better? The art of budgeting, living within their own means. Oh, yes. 25, 26, they might be buying a car. You have bought a car maybe before, so you have to walk them through. Oh, yeah, they might be thinking about buying a home, taking a mortgage, or maybe just raising a deposit. They might want to understand something called the first home ownership plan by the government. What is it? What will you tell them about it? Savings and investments, yes. Now when they start working, savings and investments, shares, money market funds, forex trading, e-commerce, eBay, Facebook, Jumia. They need to understand contingency planning. Yes, they get a job, then they don't have a job for 3 weeks. How do they live on? Setting financial goals. Oh yes, introduce them to finding financial goals. Taxation. They will register with KRA when they start working. They have no idea. Filing returns and all the others. And that is why you might want to encourage them to come into financial education. Maybe buy them a book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, if they've not read it at that point. Okay? Because they will even have to understand the time value of money. How does inflation affect money? They might have to buy insurance. If they have a car, they have to buy insurance. They have to buy medical insurance. They might want to start a business. So you can actually see it is getting complicated. Because when now they turn over 26, postgraduate, first job upwards, that's just a continuation of that curriculum. So you can actually see it's a bit of work, but who is going to do it for you? Do you want to leave it to the wall? Do you want to leave it to the streets? Or do you want to do it? It's going to take an investment of time on your part, and it won't always be easy. But if you want your children to understand how to successfully manage their money when they get older, follow these guidelines, and it is going to be completely worth it, every minute of it. If you don't teach your children how to manage money, somebody else will. For sure, somebody else will. But that's not a risk you want to take, because you don't know what they'll be taught and how they'll be taught. Now that you've learned it, and sometimes the hard way, then you need to be able to help your kids to manage their money in a better way so that they don't make the mistakes you did. You cannot give what you don't have. And that is why I'm saying, come and roll in the Wealth Creation Masterclass. Drop a message, text, or chat. The class is on Zoom, 0708 150 137. 0708 150 137.